How you doing, guys? This is Matthias Atva from Direct Dreadnought, your Dreadnought PS4 replay guy. Alright, let's start with, I released my second lore video. I think it turned out well. It's a little long, but I wanted to cover the entire faction spectrum of Dreadnought, and again, I wanted to immortalize the lore of the game, which I think is top-notch, excellent, better than a lot of movies and shows out there that have massive budgets. So that's out there. Please go watch. It's well worth it. The uncharted territory part here is I built in a policy in my channel for conflict, in which I identified certain words and I look for aggressive chat. I wanted to keep basically Dreadnought, Dread chat, drama, and over-the-top competitiveness and such out of the chat, because like Nuclear Inferno, I try to maintain a neutrality between the various factions of the PS4 server, and I've never really had to use it. The algorithms that I used within YouTube to hold comments for review usually backfires on me, and it misidentifies comments, and I've never had to use it before. So I had a late night last night and I had some things for work I had to do via email, and I decided to check on my channel really quick before I went out food shopping, and I came across my first real held for review comment, and it's from Quayjay. And Quayjay, as you may know, was the topic of the Steam post. She was an investor for 6foot and contributed $40,000 at least to make Dreadnought happen and to keep it on the server and keep development up. Now, you have to understand, $40,000 for me, I live in upstate New York, and upstate New York isn't the most expensive place to live like maybe Los Angeles or downstate in the city. But $40,000 for me, and I do pretty well. I have a decent job, I have a house, I have a Jeep, and I have a small business, a property business on the side. Very small. I'm really not that successful. Some months I'm treading water, other months I do okay. But $40,000 to me is 80% of my revenue from my main job. And it's probably right about what I make from my side property ventures before taxes and insurance and all sorts of stuff like that. So for me, $40,000 is a lot of money. To lose $40,000 would be devastating. It would be man tears time for me. I would be really in trouble. I don't know that I would survive a hit like that. So with that being said, Quayjay has a very good reason to be angry. And if you put something out there and someone doesn't believe you, no matter what the reason is, whether it's because it's rumors or they call you a liar or because they want to verify it, you're probably going to be a little upset. So the stuff Quayjay said here is very coherent, very intelligent, very logical. She did express her anger in a couple of comments, so I can't post the comment. And it's in response to Brother Belial, who is a volunteer on the PC side of things and has been nothing but a nice player and been nothing but helpful in the game and been very patient with people that are upset over the game. And again, many players have very good reason to be upset over the management decisions that have been going on in Dreadnought. So I wanted to not make a video after the lore video because it took a long time to make. It took several days to make and a couple of days of research before that, and that on top of work and life really tuckered me out, so I was going to call it for the weekend. I was going to do some drinking and relax and get some chores done, and that was going to be the end of it. But I thought it would be unfair to not let Quayjay defend her position and say what was on her mind. But everyone else on my channel has been awesome. You guys have been awesome. I've never had to intervene. I've never had to mediate a conflict between my now over 100 subscribers, and I've never had to censor anyone. So, but I thought it would be unfair to censor Quayjay on behalf of the language she used, but not on behalf of her point of view. So I'm making this quick video to read her comment. I'm probably going to censor the writing here if I can find the option in Filmora. I think I remember where it is. Let me just read this. I've already taken too much of your time. Let me read this. Brother Belial had said on the forums and here that Quayjay hasn't always been forthcoming and that she had offered 2 weeks ago to invest more money, and that post has disappeared, and that her and Miguel It Up have a conflict going on or brewing or has been going on. I think by the language of her Steam post we know that's true. About the other thing about investing, hey, I've had a lot of comments on my channel saying, no, despite what's happened, I would invest in the game if I had money. Several subscribers have said that, so there's no fault in that. As for questioning Quayjay's validity and truth, I think that's best left to them. I'm going to maintain my neutrality like I do on the PS4 server, but I think in order to do that, Quayjay needs to be heard. So in response to Brother Belial casting doubt on her Steam post, Quayjay commented on my channel the following. At Brother Belial, well, since you obviously have been speaking with Miguel and know he's no longer working for 6 Foot, go ahead and verify that. This is going to be broken up a bit because I'm going to be self-censoring while I read this, so please bear with me. Everything I said is fact. I did invest the $40,000 in 6 Foot late 2017, $42,000 to be technical about it. I was thinking of investing more, so that she has verified that that was true. When I show up at the meetings, they're asking for $460,000 to continue developing Dreadnought for, I believe, 6 months. The problem was that they're offering 2% company dividends. To make matters worse, no dividends had been paid by this point. So to clarify that, most of you know what that means. I'm not going to insult your intelligence, but to clarify that, if you don't know anything about investing or whatever, if you take out a loan, you owe the people usually, like if you take out a loan for your house or your car, you owe those people right around, depending on how the economy is doing, between 4 and 6% interest. So if you reverse that and you invest in something or somebody, you should get dividends for your investment, or you're just kind of bum borrowing them some loot. So you're saying, I'm going to give you $100,000 and I expect that money back as well as some profit for my investment, because you should be turning a profit with my money. So 2% company dividends is really, really low. A lot of people get a much higher return on investment. So I would consider 2% darn near an act of charity. But let's move on. That's just my opinion. I'm sure people could argue that point with me, and I would accept all arguments. And if you know more about it than I do, you would probably be correct. But to me, 2% sounds pretty low. And they haven't seen any of the return on investment yet either. But let's continue into what she said. 2% To further complicate things, we learned that a portion of investment money was used to make a movie called The Lost Husband, associated with 6 Foot Studios and the company as a whole, and had no connection to the game studio and game development whatsoever. That's unsubstantiated so far. I'm not saying that's not true, but I don't know if that's true or not. If that is true, that has serious implications for 6 Foot. If it's not true, Quayjay could be sued for libel. So that whole topic I'm not going to touch with a 10 or 100 foot pole. I'll let everyone else sort that out. I'm not going to take any sides on that one. Then they basically agreed that Dreadnought was not faring well and predicted and tried selling us on continuing our investment to further 6 Foot Pictures with 3 more movies in concept but no production. Most of us got up and walked out, and we're trying to wrap our minds around the situation and then ask what happened. But you were right, a few weeks ago I was considering bailing them out with the $460,000 they needed. I don't know if she wanted to contribute to that amount or if she was going to give that amount, but that's way over my budget. So that's, okay. So let's put there's a period at the end of that sentence, and I'm going to inject some of my opinion in this as well. That's a lot of money. If I had $460,000, no matter how much I love Dreadnought, and I really, really love Dreadnought, a large percentage of that money would go to other things. I would buy more property. I might start a business with that. I would pay off debts. I would hook up my family. And I'm saying, on a generous day, if I had $460,000 in the bank, maybe I would invest 50 to 60, and that's it. And even then, with what's been going on lately, I would have to verify many, many things. So for her to want to invest $40,000 or even $460,000 means in my mind that Quayjay believed in the game. And I could see why she would not want to invest in movies, So that's, you go to someone and say, I like your idea for the Blend-O-Matic 5000 because I really like health food shakes. And they take your money for the Blend-O-Matic 5000 and it fails, and they said, but why don't you give us more money, and instead we took some of the money you gave us already, and instead we're going to make the bottle cap opener 2000. And you're like, but I like health food shakes. That's what I invested in. I don't care about opening my beer. I can do that on my own. That's a bad example, but anyway, I'm sure you understand what I'm trying to say here. A couple weeks later, my husband received a phone call from an investor that lives in Houston, Texas, where the game development studio is located, and they said they let go of most of their staff. Again, that's unconfirmed, but where is Miguel and where is Sean? And why did it take so long for the PS4 server's bugs to get reset last week? It took 4 days to get many bugs that were fixed, and they were fixed by an hour-long reboot of the server. Had that hour-long, I'm very grateful the server was rebooted. I'm very grateful the game is still around and that I can still play, but I wish that reboot happened last Wednesday. And I don't mean this past Wednesday. I mean 2 Wednesdays ago when the black screen crisis started. So they were like 4 or 5 days. The PS4 server was total junk. And I'm not saying this to criticize Dreadnought or dissuade you from playing. I'm saying as a player that was very inconvenient for me. And a lot of people were scared the game was coming to an end just over that alone. So something is definitely happening. I will say this, something is definitely happening with their staff. There's no more podcasts. There's no more Sean. Miguel is missing. The black screen crisis. There is enough evidence that I can definitively say something is happening with their staff. What? I am not sure. I'm not sure if there are layoffs or how severe they are. But her husband says that these layoffs have happened. Jumping back into her statement. Look, I like this game as much as most of you. I wanted probably more than any of you to make sure this game succeeded. This statement seems to be backed up by the amount of money she invested and the fact that she was thinking about investing more and the fact that she didn't want to invest in movies. So that leads to her credibility that she is actually a fan of the game. I am and was at the time in financial position to help the game studio more than the average player could, and guess what? I did. Unfortunately, they did not listen to their player base and made matters worse, and how do I say this? Did not listen to their investors. I'm paraphrasing here to avoid language. Okay, Quayjay didn't know that I feel this way about language, so this is not her fault. She's not intentionally breaking any rules I have because she was not informed, and she has every right to be mad. Okay, that being said, let's continue. Bottom line, they are broke. The investors, game studio, jump ship. Their development staff is gone unless you have $460,000 to bail them out and pay for 6 more months of development. They are finished. Not to say the server won't be up for 6 months. This is for development. But development is how you attract new players, right? You can believe it or not, I really don't care. I have nothing more to gain or lose in this. You can call me salty if you want. And if you did, you would be correct. I'm very salty, and if she did lose this money, I would be not only salty, but devastated. $40,000 down the drain. Sorry, I'm trying to make this YouTube worthy and hospitable for you. At this point, I was doing you and the rest of the community a favor by telling you what was really happening. That's why I invested in the first place. I know what was going on. I could have walked away and invested in another game, but I didn't. You can invest in the game if you want. It will still fail. The only difference is the community will be left in the dark until one day they're trying to log on and realize there's nothing to log into. Instead, they are left there, and I'm going to leave it at that. By the way, your non-disclosure agreement, me and my husband had to sign the same thing, and we don't care. Okay, so let's wrap this up really quick. I just want to give her her fair share, but again, because of my own convoluted site rules and trying to remain neutral in the Dreadnought community, her statement was flagged for language, which there's a lot of, and I don't blame her for that. She didn't know, and the language is not directed at a player. The language is frustration language. There's just a lot of it, so I'm not going to post it, but I think that's unfair to Quayjay, so I made this quick video, and by quick I mean under 20 minutes, hopefully. That's her side of the story. We can talk about this later, but the last thing I want to say is the last part about being left in the dark really hits home, because I feel like we are being left in the dark right now. So I know they don't want to scare away new investors or whatever, but even a little phony, how do I say this, phony kind statements to calm our nerves would be good, but they're totally silent right now. But I wanted to give Quayjay her fair share. I have nothing against Brother Belial. I usually agree with a lot of what he says, and he's been very helpful with the community. But I want to give Quayjay her fair share. So far, nothing she has said has been labeled a lie or proven a lie. A lot of things she said rings true. It matches up with what little I know and what little other people know, and with logic and what makes sense and what we are observing. So, and what we're extrapolating from the situation. So, all right, I think I'm going to cut it off there. I have a lot more to say about this, but I think I'll make a scripted version and get more of your feedback. And in the meantime, I'll be putting out some more videos. I have my February update, which will be coming out next week, some more replays, some more lore, and some more tactics and tips video. But that's it for me for now, and I'll see you soon in Sinley Bay for as long as we can.